Dear students, in today's session, we will see how to draw an ER diagram for a real life situation. For that, I am going to explain a past examination question. This is the question taken from 2017-18 no-book test paper. You all have already learned about ER diagram. In order to draw an ER diagram, we have to identify three basic things. First, entities. Second, attributes. Third, their connectivity and their relationship participation. Let's identify these three one by one. Let me start reading the scenario. One of the private banks in Sri Lanka has decided to store their information in a database. The information is as follows. A customer has an ID, name, and phone number. Here we can identify the first entity, that is customer. Their related attributes are ID, name, and phone number. Let's draw this entity and the attributes first. So to draw an entity, we use a rectangle, and the name of the entity should be written in the center of the rectangle in singular with capital letters. Therefore, the entity will be represented like this. The attributes are represented by ovals and connected to the entity with a line. So, attributes of the customer entity will be like this. And each of these attributes store a single value. Next, we have to identify the primary key. You know, the primary key is used to identify an entity occurrence uniquely. Therefore, the primary key for this entity will be customer ID. Let's continue reading. A customer may hold several phone numbers. Here, it says that customer can have more than one phone numbers. If you look at this diagram, as I already mentioned, each of these attributes store a single value. But we need this phone number to store a multiple values. To represent a multiple valued attribute, we use double line oval. So it will be like this. Each customer holds at least one account, and an account must have only one customer. An account should have an ID, name, and type. Here we can identify the second entity, that is account, and the attributes are account ID and type. If you consider the relationship, it says each customer holds at least one account. When we say at least one, it means the customer can hold one or more than one account. But an account must have only one customer. Therefore, there is one-to-many relationship exists here. So, to represent a relationship, we use a diamond-shaped symbol. And it will be represented like this. One customer can hold many accounts, but one account can be maintained by only one customer. And if you consider the cardinality, we express the specific number of occurrences. So the customer must have at least one account to be classified as a customer of the bank. Maximum up to any number of accounts. So we represent it in this way. Minimum 1 up to maximum any number. And an account must have only one customer, That will be both maximum and minimum 1. So we can show that like this. An ATM has an ID and a location. Each branch and transaction has an ID and name. Here we can identify the next three entities that are ATM, branch and transaction. For ATM, the attributes are ID and location. For branch and transaction, the attributes are ID and name. So the representation will be like this. Let's continue reading. Each customer operates one ATM at a time, and an ATM is operated by only one customer. So that is one-to-one relationship because one customer operates only one ATM and one ATM is operated by only one customer. A branch owns at least one account and an account is owned by only one branch. This is similar to the customer account relationship. Therefore, it is one-to-many relationship. Cardinality will also be similar, where an account is owned by minimum and maximum one branch at a time, and a branch must own minimum one, maximum up to any number of accounts. And the representation will be like this. An ATM may or may not belongs to a branch. That means belonging to a branch is optional for ATM. And a branch can have at least one ATM. So for a branch, having an ATM is mandatory. So we represent the optional relationship using a circle at the end of the optional entity, and for the mandatory participation, we do not show a circle. Therefore, the representation will be like this. At the same time, this is one-to-many relationship. So we can represent it. And if you consider the cardinality, ATM belongs to minimum 0 to maximum 1 branch. That will be 0 and 1. And the branch must have minimum 1 up to maximum any number of ATM. And that will be represented like this. A customer performs at least one transaction and a transaction is performed by only one customer. Similar to the above relationship, this is one-to-many relationship. So we can represent like this. And the cardinality will be minimum 1, maximum up to any number of transaction at the customer side, and both minimum and maximum at the transaction side. Once a customer performs a transaction, the perform date should be stored appropriately. Here, the transaction date is need only when a transaction occurs. That means this attribute belongs to the relationship. Therefore, we will draw this attribute connected to the relationship. So this is the final ER diagram for this scenario. Hope you understand. Thank you for watching.